Well, that's a great transition to where you are now, is you saw a space for people to make, hey, here's some real talk. Like, I'm going to provide you some coaching. And you kind of alluded to it earlier, but you saw a space. Go ahead.
Here's the reason why, and I'll use that as a transition, Aaron, is when I first started helping people, because of where I was at personally, I was super empathetic.
Okay.
So like because I felt it, because I felt their pain, and because I felt my own pain, I was like, they're like, oh man, I'm depressed and this sucks. I'm like, oh yeah. And, like pet their head. I'm like, oh God, it does suck, man. I'm so sorry. And, we'll get there, sort of thing. And I was super empathetic, but that empathy, and I'm not saying that empathy isn't a good thing. It's okay to be empathetic. Brene Brown has this great cartoon. I think it's on I think a TED Talk thing. It's a cartoon though, with a bear and a deer and everything. And she's talking about and you guys can look it up. It's the difference between sympathy and empathy. It's like a 3-minute cartoon. And and when I first watched it, I was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. And I did agree with it for years. And it was basically like getting down in the hole with them. Like somebody's down in a dark hole. So what they need is her point is like, sympathy is on the top going, oh, it sucks down there. Sorry about your luck. You want a sandwich? Versus going down in the hole and then really being empathetic and like understanding where they're at, why they're down there, giving them a hug, turn the light on sort of thing. And like really kind of connecting with them. Like that's a good lesson there. Here's the problem with it, specifically with veterans or anybody that deals with that. You do that, it's like a drug to them. It gives them a dopamine response to where now they're like, oh yeah, pet me more.
Yep.
And you know what I saw? No progress. So for years, I'm doing this with veterans, and they weren't making progress. When I started making progress? When one of my mentors said, I was dealing with all this, and he goes, okay, so what are you doing? What's your routine like? What's your life like? Okay. So how's that working out for you? Is that changing anything?
Wow.
So maybe fucking do something. And
if you want empathy, get a dog. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You want empathy? Get a dog. I'm not going to be that anymore.
No.
So I stopped doing that. Well, it wasn't like a light switch. It slowly became more about action. Action alleviates depression. Action alleviates anxiety, right? Action. That is what changes things. You're depressed. You're anxious. You're fat. Change your environment. Change who you're talking to. Change the things that you're listening to. Get outside. Change your routine. So I stopped allowing them to get dopamine from me. And then I started holding them accountable. Well, I'm depressed. Okay, tell me about your day. What do you do? I wake up thin. I don't do that. I do this. So basically nothing. You wake up, you're in your fucking fat, sloppy, sweats that you've had for 20 years that have holes in them, and you slop around the house. You fucking you finger fuck your iPhone for however long until you go pull up Pornhub and go in the bathroom and jack off with your sweats around your waist. And then you go back to playing fucking some stupid app on your phone or just looking at chicks because you're disabled, right? So you don't have anywhere to be. And that's your fucking life. And you wonder why you're depressed. So I just started calling men on it. I just started calling them out on it. And boy, the fucking hate started to roll. But you know what? The ones that go, like what you said, Aaron, like, oh shit, I thought that was just me. The ones that go, oh, damn, you're right. And they're like, I'm ready. I'm fed up. Whatever this is, I don't like, and I want something different. I want something new. I want to change. Well, then those are the guys that go, okay. And man, we have changed thousands of men's lives, both veterans and civilians, based off that. Because what happens now is men no longer hold men accountable.
Yep.
Because we're so afraid. But what's so and this is totally by design, by our government, by society. This is a plan, man. It's been a plan for a long time.
Yep.
To decentralize men. You could not, in the 60s, with the way men were back in the 60s, All right. And I'm not talking about alcoholism and because people are going to pull up a million freaking problems. There's a million problems then, there's a million problems now. The difference was we didn't take shit. Men were united. There were men groups. There were men groups in churches. There were men groups outside of the church. There were men groups just in a community. If you lived in a community, men met. They went and had breakfast and coffee together. What is the situation in the area? You could not have pulled off the last 2-3 years if men were like they were in the 60s.
You're right.
Well, I think that's what I was talking about what the intent was when I said get back to yourself, right? Because we all had to go through that to get to where we got to in the military in the beginning, right? I think we all found our community. We all had to hold ourselves responsible and each other's responsible. Yep. And I think that's what happens is as you push out the other end of the military and you fall into all these traps that are out there, you lose that personal responsibility and then that community around you. And, you know, we've talked about it before. The reason we call this the team room is at a very uncomfortable place when you first go into it as a new guy, right? It's rough. But after a while, you usually want to
keep your mouth shut.
Right. But like by the time when you leave that team room for the last time, like it's one of the saddest moments that I've ever had, right? When I left the actual team room, because you come to rely on it. Like that is your whole community, you know, like you guys have been through everything together. And so I think when you walk out the other side of that, and a lot of people have never experienced this in their lives, is having that community of people, that community that values responsibility, that values outcomes and action over words and emojis and thoughts and prayers and all that other nonsense.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's what we've lost over the years is like, we need to become men of action. And I have a whole talk that I give on, you know, hard, easy over easy, hard. But, if you truly look at the most proudest moments in your life, okay, most proudest achievements of your life, and I've done this in a group, a big room full of men, and I just said, hey, raise your hands. I want to hear the biggest achievements that you've had in your life. All of them is something that they had to work very hard to achieve.
Yep.
Nobody said, oh, I was sitting on the beach drinking a fucking Corona. I'm sitting back with my feet up at this location. It was like, well, I did this. Yeah, like nothing like that. Who cares? It was like, I did this. I did an ultra marathon. I did, you know, a Spartan race. I lost 100 pounds. I saved for 10 years and bought my family business. You know what I mean? Like there's always these different things. And there's always this trend of some sort of extreme hard work. I ran a marathon, simple as that. You know, for people that are not like running a marathon for the average person I don't know the percentage of how many people run a marathon, but it ain't the majority. I'll tell you that.
Right. It ain't a lot.
You know what I mean? So like, if you look at if everybody's listening and you think about the most proudest achievements, like us passing selection multiple times for some of us, multiple selections, right? You know, passing pre-dive, passing dive school, like our biggest achievements that we have in our life all come from extremely uncomfortable, hard things. So what happened to me, I did all those hard things for 12 years. Well, my whole life was hard, but you know, we didn't even get into that shit, but, you know, gangs and felonies and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I get out of the military. My whole life has been one achievement of doing a hard thing over the other. And I thought that I could, how do you put it? Like live on your laurels, whatever.
Rest on your laurels.
Rest on your laurels. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was like, well, I've done the hard things, right? Now I've achieved this level that I can relax. No, man.
Do you know what drives me nuts is, this is a side note. You know, like on Instagram, people are like posting these things where the stairs go up, like do the hard thing now so that you can do the easy thing later and the stairs go down. I'm like, hey, fun fact, the stairs never go down.
The stairs never go down.
Yeah.
And sometimes
like it's people
steeper.
That are sitting on the stairs and people that are conditioned to walking upstairs so that they can hit them even harder later on. But like the stairs never go down. And if you're looking for the stairs that go down, like that's a bad road and that's not going to lead to happiness. But
the stairs, they go down. It's called turning around and walking back down them.
Right.
The stairs go down. It's called 6 feet until you rest in a box, motherfucker. Like that's when the stairs go down.
Sorry, that's been bothering me in my head for like weeks now. Yeah. Ever since I saw that picture.
That's a good
Yeah,
one. I
and
like
Nick,
that.